First thing the auditor wants to do in any circumstances is bring in data. So I can get rid of this one here simply by closing that file. It's still, the file is still here, it's just not in my database area anymore. So let's go and bring in a file. So we'll go up to our File, and we'll go to Import Assistant. The first one that you've got to choose from, and then Import to IDEA. Now when you're importing to IDEA, you've got a whole pile of different things that you can import. You can import from an AS400, from DBase, from Lotus, Access, Excel, ODBC we'll talk about later, but it's for importing relational databases. Print reports and Adobe PDFs, you can bring those straight in. You can bring in AIS and SAP files, text files, XML files. We're going to bring in an Access file. So I'll click on Access, and it's going to ask me to give it a file name. You should be in the same place that I am at the moment. I have a query coming in. I don't have a query coming in. I apologize. So in there, I'm going to look and I'm going to see what do we have within this particular file. And I want to look within Tutorial, and I'll see Customer. So I shall double click on Customer, and it's now in there. Now the big advantage of bringing in something from Access is you don't have to define anything. If I say Next, it asks me to select the tables. There's only one table within this database, and it's called Database 1. So I'll say OK, I'm happy with that, and it's imported all of the data for me. It's defined the data, it's told me the customer number, and it's got the right length, and it's got the first name and the last name. Everything it needs, it's done for me because it was coming in from Access. It will do the same thing if it comes in from Excel. It will do the same thing if it comes in from an ODBC compliant database. If it comes in from a print file, if it comes in from a normal text file, I'm going to have to tell it how to do it. However, we now have a file. Is everyone happy with that? If not, I'll delete it and we can go through it again. So I will delete the file. So it's now gone. We go up to File, Import Assistant, Import to IDEA. Okay. There's my Microsoft Access. And down here it's looking for the file name. So I will go in and I will say I want it out of Tutorial. There is my customer Microsoft database, and it's filled in the name now. I will tell it Next. It says scan records for field length, do it automatically, and I'll say OK. Output file name will be customer. And there we have my customer database. It's imported it in here. And now I can do the same things that I did before. I can look at the history. And there you can see it. Its table name is Database 1, although we're calling it it's Customer Database 1. So it's within the customer, and it's called Database 1. 341 records, etc. And that's the script that was used to import that information. Again, I can look at field statistics. It says statistics are not available for all fields. Do I wish to create statistics for all fields without them? Well, it's the first time through, so I'd expect to see that. Yes. And since we only have one numeric field in here, which is the credit limit, it's done it on the credit limit. And it's given me the net value, the absolute value, number of records, positive values, negative values, average values, etc. Now, in their own right, this might be valuable information for me as an auditor. Here we're looking at credit limits. And I can see that someone has got a credit limit, a very high credit limit. Some people have got very low credit limits. So I want to have a look at those. So I'll go back into my data. There's a credit limit. So I'll create an index on that credit limit. And that's starting off at the low ones and working its way up to the high ones. Well, I don't really want to do that. I want to look at the high ones. I want to prioritize based on credit limit. So I can double click on it again. And now I'm getting it in descending order. And I can see there's someone with a 3.9 credit limit, 3.9 million credit limit, etc. Okay. Everyone happy so far. But that's not all we can do. Okay. One of the things that we typically want to do is look at things like duplicates. So let me go back to no index. Just click on no index, and I've got the whole file in front of me. And now I'm going to do some analysis looking for duplicate names. See if we've got duplicate customer names. So I will go into analysis up in the top bar, the menu bar, because it's the kind of thing I might want to do as an auditor. And I want to detect, and it's going to say detect what? Well, I'll have to give it a key. So the key I want is based on, I don't want customer number, so I'll take the little arrow at the side of it, and I'm going to base it on the last name. And I want it in ascending order, so I'm happy with that, so I'll say OK. It's now saying output duplicate records. I could choose to output records without duplicates and only look at the ones that don't have duplicates. But in this case, I'm looking for duplicates, so that's fine. I could also include their criteria, so that I could say output duplicate records if country equals Belgium. But I don't need to. I can say OK on that and see if we end up with any duplicate records. And we've got two boroughs in South Africa, a Diane Burrows and a Catherine Burrows. And you can see down at the bottom here on that bar that we've got 39 duplicate records. Okay. Duplicate doesn't necessarily mean there's two of them. You can see we've got a whole pile of Lees and a whole pile of Chans. But that might still give me an awful lot to look through. So instead of just looking for duplicates, let me go back to my customer database and just click up here. And this time I'm going to do an analysis, and I'm going to look for duplicates, detection. But this time I'm going to have more than one key. I'm going to have the last name, and I'm going to have the first name. And I'm happy with that. I want to output the duplicate records. And now I've got my second one, and I don't have any duplicates, first name and last name. Okay. What I can, of course, look for are duplicates within country. If I close that one down because I don't have anything in it, and I can now come over here and delete that index, or that selected file rather. I've got my full database there, but if I go back to my duplicates over here, I can see there's an awful lot of Chans in China, an awful lot of Floras in Mexico. So I could say, I'm not interested in Lee Sandra and Lee San Yun, but I am interested in any Lees within China. Or I am interested in any Wongs in China. A Wing Wong and a Sandy Wong. So again, I could look at those and I could say, in addition to those duplicates on that, I want to go and look at, and I can do it from the full file or within the duplicate file. There's a problem in looking at it from within the duplicate file, that there might be something over here that my first selection wouldn't pick up, but my second selection might. If I do it on this one, because it didn't pick it up on the first one, I can only look inside here. So within this alone, I would not need to look for duplicate last name and country. I could simply say, give me duplicate country. Detection. And this time I'm looking for a duplicate based on a key of country. And you can see over on your left-hand side, it's now showing duplicates within duplicate within the customer. So these are only the duplicates within that file, not necessarily within that file. Okay. If I did simply duplicates on country in that file, looking for country, you can see that that duplicate file over on the left-hand side is now part of the customer file, whereas that duplicate is part of the duplicate file. And over here, you can see looking for duplicates in the country, I'm getting everyone regardless of last name. Okay, so I've got every single country there, seeing number of records 340. Every single country in this thing has more than one person within it. There's no countries with only one person. So that's not really what I wanted. Now, if I try to delete that file now, if I go over to the left-hand side, right-click it and say delete, and tell it yes, gone. Okay, and it's removed it from here, obviously, because it's now gone. But there's my duplicates by name, and there's my duplicates by country within name. As I say, I could have done that in one hit by saying name and country, but in this case I didn't need to. Okay, so we're happy. I can also look, let me delete that one. Delete my duplicates. Now, it's quite common when you're doing this in real life to leave those. Okay, I'm deleting them simply because otherwise I get cluttered up with a whole pile of files, and I'll come back to it on the next course or the next webinar and look at it and say, now, which one was that? Okay, so I'm just removing them. Keep it clean. We're now back in our customer file. Now I'm going to look at, for example, credit limits. And I'm going to say analyze and show me duplicate credit limits. And that's showing me all the people with duplicate credit limits, and I've got 299 of them in the file. You can see up here we had 341 that we started with, and we've now got 299 of the 341 are duplicates. That's interesting. I wonder who are the ones who've only singletons have got those credit limits. Let me go back into my customer database, and I'll go into my analysis again, look for my duplicate keys, detection, but this time I'm wanting to output the records without duplicates. And again the key will be on my credit limit. And these are the people, we've got 42 of them, who have a unique credit limit. Okay? If I look at my duplicates, these are all the people who've got common credit limits. But these are the ones who've got the weird credit limits. And again, I could go up and look at those and say, well, I wouldn't expect a lot of people to have high credit limits. But I want to know what these are. Who these people are, what they are, let me go and check them. Okay. Happy. There's an interesting one. 295,000, not 300,000. Not 290, 295,000. It's a strange credit limit. He's in Scotland. His name is Connor, which is a Scottish name, and his first name is Mohammed, which is not a Scottish name. But that may be quite legitimate. I can't tell just by looking at the data. All I can say is perhaps that is unusual. I should go and check who that person is. Okay. Show me the documentation behind it. Okay, happy so far. I'll close down my duplicates. I've left them over here so that I can simply click on them and they're back, but I'm back in my customer database again. Okay.